And it looks like this driver almost in a panic now, and a truck may be getting involved, possibly blocking him in. This truck, it's hard to tell if this truck is trying to get involved or...
What happens when a car suspect tries to escape but forgets how car doors work? Welcome to another episode of Viral Twist, where chaos meets comedy.
This person is going across the freeway from one side to the other. If you're just merging on, you don't even know what is happening here because it's not as if this is a high rate of speed right now.
No, we are not going at a high rate of speed, which is a little interesting here because where this pursuit suspect actually is, going northbound on the 110, passing the 91, at least a little further back, there wasn't that much traffic to deal with. But now as we progress northbound, Colleen, as you were saying, you start to kind of work in between that zone where there's stop and go traffic as you approach the 105 and as you continue northbound through downtown, and you can see there a little bit of traffic building. The suspect going all the way over, using all those lanes to that far right lane, using a bit of the shoulder there, and LAPD not taking any chances, staying right behind this suspect. And there's a an open gap of no traffic here. You can see that box truck getting out of the way. They hear the lights, they see the sirens, and they're hopefully going to do their best to try and stay out of the way. And we hope that all drivers do that when you see those sirens, when you hear those sirens and see the lights coming your way. We hope that you pull over and not try and get involved in this kind of situation because we do see a little bit of dangerous driving. This driver fidgeting around, this driver moving around, grabbing a cell phone, possibly a weapon. We don't know. We do know that LAPD is treating this as a possibly armed suspect, and they have been driving relatively dangerously. Now using the shoulder on this 110 northbound, passing Redondo Beach Boulevard, kind of thinking about whether they want to take that exit, and now we're leaning a little bit more towards the left, which means this driver is going to commit to the 110 northbound.
And you could see exactly what we were talking about there. Gabe, when we were on linear, you were about to say what you had learned from our assignment desk, and you said that right as the suspect put his hand out the sunroof and began to show his flag like he's doing right there, a flag or a banner. There are any number of country flags that could have those colors, so we're not going to speculate as to what the flag is particularly, but you heard something. What did you hear?
Yeah, Philip, so we are hearing that our assignment desk may have seen possibly an animal, maybe a dog, on the suspect's lap. So as we go under the 105-110 interchange, we're trying to get Air 7 HD, we're navigating the LAX airspace. So that's going to be a little difficult here as we progress northbound. Pilot Johnny here doing a great job doing that. And going back to the tip we heard, it does appear that there may be an animal in this driver's lap. So that just kind of elevates the level of danger and the level of just, what must be going through this driver's mind. Why is he doing this? Why does he have an animal in the car? And what does this flag mean that's coming up through the sunroof? You're absolutely right, Philip, about, it could mean a number of different things right now, and we don't want to speculate exactly what it does mean until we can get some confirmation of that. But as we kind of get a closer angle here, Josh, our photographer, zooming in very close, we're trying to work around the tinted windows, maybe see through the windshield here to get an idea of what that driver is possibly holding in his or her lap. And we're just going to have to kind of work with the air traffic and work with the angles here the best we can, and just kind of move forward with that in mind, that this driver may also have an animal along with being possibly armed, a possibly armed robbery suspect.
I just wonder at the end of this, because again, this is sort of, I drive this in my sleep almost. I know this area corridor very well, and it is going to end. And I'm wondering if law enforcement are thinking, okay, well, now this person absolutely cannot go anywhere because they are sort of corralled into those two lanes. One lane that the driver's in right now will end up funneling right onto the 110 north, and the other one will then end up kind of going over by more like USC area. You're seeing it kind of right there, but I think that's also
so he looks like he's merging onto the freeway.
We're flying right over the Coliseum right now, guys. So this is getting towards, like you said, where these carpool lanes come to an end. And as you're saying, if you stay to the left, you'll get spit out onto surface streets that'll take you into the Expo Park area, and if you lean more to the right, then you're funneled onto the 110, which, looking out the helicopter window, the 110 northbound is almost at a dead stop. You can see it right there in the frame, and it looks like this suspect is leaning more towards the left, so that's going to take him onto surface streets into Expo Park, where a lot of USC students might be out and about and around, and this could get very interesting here as this pursuit looks like it's about to transition towards surface streets.
Well, this is a part where it's also a possibility that LAPD might act a bit more aggressively, because the person is going to have to slow down and they're going to have to make some turns, and that is going to open the door for a possible pit maneuver. And you've noticed several times where LAPD closes that gap. Now we're going back across and getting onto the freeway. Yeah, so I think the person realized that at some point the person realized they were not going to be able to continue going north.
Yeah, Giovanna, this pursuit is definitely coming to an interesting point right here as we see the driver coming to a complete stop in the middle of lanes on the 10 freeway. We're in the eastbound lanes in the Culver City area, just passing Robertson Boulevard, Palms. You can see their LAPD staying very close behind this suspect. As you said, this is a robbery suspect wanted for a possible Grand Theft Auto, possibly involving this vehicle, this black Mercedes. We've been over this pursuit for the better part of an hour now. This pursuit started in and around the South LA area. It was going up and down the 110, up and down Flower, and then this pursuit was able to continue southbound on the 110, westbound on the 105, southbound on the 405, and then back northbound on the 110. We took the 10 all the way west, almost towards Santa Monica. The driver got off on the Sawtell exit on Bundy and then started continuing eastbound on the 10 freeway. What's interesting about that is that there's a lot of traffic in these eastbound lanes that this driver is going to have to deal with, and we've seen this driver utilize either the left shoulder or the right shoulder to get around some of this traffic. We've also seen a little bit of aggravated driving from this traffic, or levels of both aggravated driving and some calm driving. Like right now, we're seeing this driver kind of slow down and go even slower than the pace of some of this very slow traffic. And then we're seeing points where when LAPD gets close, this driver will use some of those shoulders and really kind of drive at high speeds around some of this traffic. It looks like it looks like something was thrown out right there, and we've seen that from this suspect before. Earlier, when this driver was on the 110 north, we saw the suspect throw a gun out of the window, which checks out with what we believe this suspect to be wanted for, which is possibly an armed robbery. I wasn't able to get a good eye on what that suspect threw out right there. The other interesting thing you have is, obviously, there's a flag hanging out of the sunroof of this stolen Mercedes-Benz. Those colors could equate to a number of different countries, maybe a cause, so we're not going to speculate exactly what that could be from at this point, but definitely makes you wonder exactly what this pursuit driver, what this suspect may want, whether he wants to bring attention to a cause or whether he's just trying to get away at this point.
And we were talking about the weapons earlier. We saw the suspect throw a weapon out on the 110, and we know that the suspect also has thrown something else out. We didn't get a good eye on what that suspect threw out on the freeway. But again, police are not giving up on this. This is not going into the CHP area. I know we're approaching La Brea right now on the 110, on the 10. So this is a highly traveled area. But why do you think the CHP, since this has stayed on the freeway the whole time, why isn't the CHP taking over this pursuit?
LAPD may not be relinquishing control at this point. In other words, basically through, through mutual aid, they have not requested CHP as the speeds are not higher and the suspect is not on the freeway doing crazy things.
So it was definitely hard to tell what was exchanged between the person on the sidewalk and the driver, but we do know that the air unit, the LAPD air unit overhead, did see what who was involved in that, and we're seeing some very aggressive driving as we're going northbound now on Crenshaw Boulevard, now on the wrong side of the road. This is some extreme driving, hitting almost 80 miles an hour here, continuing northbound. We were using that median lane, and now we're back on the right side of the lane. Now this driver's hopefully slowing slowing down a little bit, going through hopefully that intersection had a green light. And now we're hitting some traffic. So we're slamming on the brakes and going back onto the shoulder here. There's a parked car. We're going to go onto the sidewalk now. It's going to be hard to see here as we go under a tree. We're going to see that car come back out from that driveway from using that sidewalk. Hopefully LAPD was able to get around that car as well. And we're continuing northbound now on Crenshaw. Really excessive rates of speed. Definitely unsafe for this neighborhood. If you're in the mid-city area, just stay off the roads if you can and lock your doors, because you don't know if this driver may try to jump out of the car. If he gets stuck, that could definitely lead to a very dangerous situation. It looks like LAPD taking no chances. They're getting around this traffic as well, and those 77th Division officers who've been following this pursuit from the very beginning are staying very close to this vehicle. Now that first patrol car right behind the vehicle, they have the doors open, and it looks like we may have had some contact here between the suspect vehicle and that silver Nissan over there on the right side. And it looks like this driver almost in a panic now, and a truck may be getting involved, possibly blocking him in. This truck, it's hard to tell if this truck is trying to get involved or if this is just accidental.
It's absolutely intentionally trying to get involved in this.
The suspect driver is almost pinned in there. You can see LAPD seeing the situation, and the suspect has hands out of the window. This is definitely a good sign. Who knows if this truck is possibly law enforcement or just a concerned citizen. LAPD has guns drawn, and the suspect has their hands out of the window, and hopefully, after we saw this pursuit go through a very dangerous phase on surface streets from Crenshaw Boulevard north of the 10, hopefully we're seeing this thing come to an end here now.